Hey team, so I'm going to show you how to fill out the escrow disbursement form, and that is used to get your money out of escrow. Your rental is coming due, client's moving in a couple of days. You want to make sure that you give Tom or accounting some notice. Don't expect to get a check if you are sending in the request stating I need to pick up a check in 2 hours. For my rental closing today, not going to happen. So at least a couple days, 2 days in advance, you should be requesting your escrow disbursements. There is no reason why you can't even request your escrow disbursement, 2 weeks in advance. That number is not going to change. So why, there's no reason to wait for the last minute. Okay, so with that being said, to fill that out, you're going to click on your escrow disbursement form. The autofill button will come up. If anything is missing in here that's critical, you can fill it in this section, and from this section it will actually fill in the spaces in the details page, so it's pretty convenient. So here's our escrow disbursement form. Anything in yellow has been autofilled. Any blank that is missing needs to be filled out. So the agent is going to be you, so I'm going to put in my name here. The date is going to be today. And then what side? Generally speaking, if we are holding escrow, we're usually the selling side for this. Okay. If you're working with another agent in the office, you would put that agent here. MLS number needs to go in here. It's very important. And then we've got the landlord, we've got the tenant, and we've got the closing date filled in already for us. Okay. The escrow amount. The escrow amount is what we have in total in escrow. So if there was 3 deposits, you're going to add them up, and that number is going to go here. If you've got 1 month's rent, which is generally the case, that number goes here. Okay. So we've got, for this particular example, we've got $1,500 in escrow, which is 1 month's rent. The next section is our commission. 95% of the time, how this works is that we collect 1 month's rent, and then we take our commission out, and the balance, we contact the agent to find out how they want that dispersed, how they want that check written. Okay. This was an annual lease, so we would get half a month's rent, so that would be $750. But be aware it could also be 5% or 10%, and then that number would change. So to figure out what the escrow disbursement is, we take the escrow amount minus what our commission is, and that goes into the disbursement. That's what we have left, and all that has to come out of the account. None of it gets left in here. Okay. And it gives us, the particular form gives us up to three checks that can be dispersed, can be written for the amount that's being dispersed. The usual way that this is done is, and this is probably 75% of the time, we collect 1 month's rent, we deduct our rent, our commission out of it, and then the balance ends up going to the other the listing agent, so the listing broker. Okay, so that would end up, that's where the balance goes, and that ends up being their commission. So that happens again mostly 75% of the time. Ideally, if the names and addresses were filled out correctly, this would actually fill in by itself. Okay, but we can always find this by okay, we're going to do this an interesting way. We can open up another tab with this particular loop in it. So it's 4415 Southwest 160th. So if I come over here and I click on that dot loop, and this is the property. You can have more than one. You can have the same loop open in more than one tab. So this makes things pretty convenient. So I'm going to come down to the listing agent's contact information, and the check is always made out to the company name, not made out to the agent. Never made out to the agent. It's always made out to the company name, and this will be payable here too. And then you find out from the other agent, do you want do you want it mailed to you, or are you going to pick it up? Or usually you end up dropping it off when you go meet your client to pick up keys and bring in the balance of the down payment for the rent. Again, I can't stress this enough. Remind your clients that when they show up to get keys, when they bring in cash for keys means the monies have to be in a cashier's check or money order, or they can contact, or you can contact the other agent and see if they have another way of getting the money over to the other side. This is how it's done usually 75% of the time. But let's say you're holding more than 1 month's rent, and that would mean that there would be an additional check. So the first place you always go to is the listing agent. You're going to ask the listing agent, okay, so do you mind if we hold back our commission? 99% of the time, they're going to say that's fine. And then you ask them, how do you want the balance paid out? And they can just say a number of different ways. They can either say, okay, we want $750 made out to Silver Sky Realty, and then we want the other $3,000 made out to Taiwan Properties LLC, the landlord. That's another common way that this happens. And then sometimes they'll just say, make out the entire thing to the landlord, and he pays us afterwards. That's fine. The takeaway here is that always make sure you contact the listing agent and say, okay, you know, we're meeting on Thursday to pick up keys, and my client's going to be there to drop off, you know, the cash, and we're going to do the walkthrough. How do you want the escrow funds made out to? And they will tell you. Okay, so that's the way you handle that. When this is done, which it is, you will end up hitting save. And moving out of the form, we're not sharing this with anybody. And the next thing you're going to do is you are going to send Tom a note from the dot loop. Okay. Agents do this all the time. They send him a text or they send him an email, and then they don't reference even what property it is. And they're already in here filling out the documents. So why not send a note to Tom at the same time? Okay. To do that, you click on the note thing, you click on new note, and then down here, once you click on new note, that's when the admins show up, and you can click next to Tom and you can say, please cut deposit checks for my closing on Friday. Okay. Again, at least 2 days in advance, and he'll cut the checks, and you'll pick them up and you will go on to your closing and be rich after that. So you'll hit send as well. And I can't stress, this is the one thing that Tom gets him a little crazy, to please make sure you are sending notes to him from the loops, because that way he will get an email that has a link directly to the loop. You don't have to reference, you know, please send me an escrow disbursement for this particular file, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's all easy to do. No fuss, no muss. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a shout, and have a great day. Take it easy.